Guys, welcome to a classic film review of 1979's Quadrophenia, starring Phil Daniels, Leslie Ash and one Gordon Matthew Thomas Sumner, who also goes by the name Sting. Now, it's a classic coming-of-age tale set against the backdrop of the mid-60s tribal showdowns between the mods and the rockers as they descended upon southern British seaside towns. So Quadrophenia was adapted from The Who's 1973 rock opera concept album of the same name, so its soundtrack's great, and its narrative is based on the sequence of songs on that record, but you don't have to have listened to it to enjoy this movie, and in fact that's the last time I'll mention it because we're going to just focus on the movie itself here. So the director of the film, Franc Roddam, was from a town just down the road from where I live in the UK, and if you want to know how this movie has strong links to TV's MasterChef and the show Our Vida Same Pet, then let's take a look. So here we have the story of a stereotypical teen named Jimmy, played by Phil Daniels, who struggles to connect with his out-of-touch parents, hates his office mailroom job, and basically lives for the weekend and his lifestyle as a mod. Super quick history lesson, part 1. The mods were a counterculture of youths that sprung up in post-war Britain. Kids with time and money to spare who expressed themselves through fashion and music and mostly dashed about on Vespa scooters. The mods were pretty much a direct descendant of Britain's Teddy Boys and the 50s beatniks. Now, there's an incoming congregation in Brighton that Jimmy and his fellow mods are very much looking forward to. All they have to do is find some amphetamines, and Jimmy has to somehow woo the lovely Steph, played by Leslie Ash, and hopefully end up as cool as mod maestro Aceface, played by a dashing Sting, and everything will be just peachy.
Oh, look at him! Doesn't he look smart?
Oh,
Look at the scooter!
that is ice!
However, his mod culture lifestyle is constantly under threat from the rockers, who seem to be always just around the corner and who will be their fierce rivals in a brutal Brighton Beach showdown. Super quick history lesson, part 2. The rockers are again members of a biker subculture that originated in the UK during the 1950s, and also by the mid-60s the term greaser was also being used. These guys and gals were influenced more by American pop culture of the 50s, and I did pinch this bit from Wikipedia. The name rocker came from the rockers found in 4-stroke engines, as opposed to the 2-stroke engines used by the scooters ridden by the mods, and not from rock music. Now, one of the things I do like about Quadrophenia is its small side plot involving Phil Daniels, his mod, and a rocker named Kevin, played by a very young Ray Winston. The pair have a few discussions throughout the film, teasing each other about their bikes and highlighting how they're both similar beneath their respective fashions and musical interests.
I don't give a monkey's arseholes about mods and rockers. Underneath, we're all the same, aren't we?
No, Kev, that's it. Like, I don't want to be the same as everybody else. That's why I'm a mod, see? I mean, you gotta be somebody, ain't ya?
And also a big part of Quadrophenia's appeal, for me, is its view of a dank grey England of bathhouses and pie shops, of black and white TV, and of seaside towns beginning their breathtakingly fast decline as the era of the package holiday arrived. Now, the film does have a very limited view of life's choices, I suppose. It seems it's either dead-end job or corporate arse-kissing, otherwise you're rebelling. Maybe that's not too far from the mark.
Yeah, I'll tell you what you can do with your eye teeth and your job. You can take that mail and that franking machine and all that other rubbish I have to go about with, and you can stuff them right up your arse.
But I think the film still feels authentic. The language is brutal, as is some of its violence. Phil Daniels as the central character is astonishing in this film. A performance that doesn't get mentioned much really, but is really impressive. Daniels would also star in Scum that same year, but most modern audiences will know him as the narrator of Blur's 1994 Parklife song. Here he's totally believable either as a happy-go-lucky party boy or as an emotional wreck as his life begins to crumble in the film's third act. Here he conveys the film's actual themes as he searches to relive the euphoria of this epic Brighton showdown he's experienced, but finds the highs of his lifestyle are just fleeting, and struggles with the loss of purpose. Now, much is made of Sting being in this film, but he really only appears in a small handful of scenes, and I think maybe has one line of dialogue that I can remember. But he's there as the mod ideal, a guy that Jimmy looks up to and wants to be. He's immaculately dressed with that kind of devil-may-care attitude. Now, no spoilers, but things aren't always what they seem. Now, this film shares DNA with other male angst movies such as Rebel Without a Cause and even Fight Club and A Clockwork Orange, all about people searching for meaning and feelings in a world of disappointment. So Quadrophenia was directed by Franc Roddam, who was born in a small town called Norton in Stockton-on-Tees. And before he got into a film, he worked at Smith's Stock in Middlesbrough, which is about 10 or 15 minutes from the little town that I live in. Quadrophenia was Roddam's first feature film. Now, he also directed the underrated K2 in 1991, but his real claim to fame, certainly here in the UK, is that he created the popular and hilarious TV show Our Vida Same Pet, and in 1990 created the concept for MasterChef, which of course went on to spawn international versions and celebrity versions, etc. Now, in terms of the actual plot, you might argue that there isn't a great deal of it here. It's essentially a bike ride to and from Brighton, and the ending's quite downbeat with a few things left up in the air, and I think that's one of the reasons why I struggled with it a little bit on first viewing when I was a lot younger, admittedly. But of course I've come to really appreciate it more and more. And what Quadrophenia does is convey that sense of youth where the only things that mattered were music and the weekend, the girl you liked, the acceptance of whatever clique you wanted to be in. But crucially, what Quadrophenia also shows us is a fad lifestyle that's just an illusion, really. And also how maybe in the search for something more, you can project an importance to things that ultimately don't matter. Great music, though. Go check it out.